before I start, thank you. Okay, now over here, everybody over here? Okay, everybody over there? Okay. So it's really weird being up here. I'll start with that. Because a couple of years ago, I think 3 years ago now, a good friend of mine was telling me, dude, you have to go to this wisdom thing. And I was like, no, it's not for me. It's all that hippie crap. And he's like, no, you should really be there. And I'm like, no. And then the ticket sold out, and I'm still like, no, I'm not supposed to be here. And then like the week before, I looked at the schedule, and I'm like, wow, it looks really cool. And so like somebody who worked at Facebook knew Soren pretty well, and so I got the connection, asked, Soren, can I come? And Soren was like, I'm not sure about that, but just Friday. You can come on Friday, but you can't come on Saturday. And so I come, and I'm sitting in like the very back row there, and something happened which changed my life. And because at the time that I was, let me see if I can get my presentation to come up. Bloop. Hello, technology people. There we go. My work is done here. His name is Churro. He's a puppy, a Siberian Husky from Mexico, a Mexican Siberian Husky. And I had this big problem at work where, we were seeing a lot of people on Facebook. They shared tons and billions of photos. And a lot of them were getting reported, and they were giving the reasons we give for reporting things in Facebook. They have to do with the things that we have to honor for the community. Like, we have to protect against hate speech. We don't want any pornography. I mean, the things that we are there. But then you would get pictures like this, and we're like, I don't know what's going on. And like the number of reports was going up, and so we're trying to figure out what is it that we could do about that. And then we realized, because a lot of the pictures were of people hugging and other things, that most of the time, the person reporting the photograph was in the photograph, and it had been shared by one of their friends. And so around that time, I kind of put something where we had put up a message box that says, like, are you in the photo? Do you want to ask your friend if you can take it down? And then we would give you an empty message, and we found that only 20% of people would send a message, and I don't know what to do. And so I'm sitting in the back row, big problem for the people that we support at Facebook. And then these two guys come up. Hello. And they're talking about stuff, and it's all like pretty cool. And then at some point they say to each other, and I can't remember who was that said this exactly, but they said, if people like fully saw each other, like they saw each other as parents, teachers, whatever work that they're here to do, whatever has happened in their life, if you looked at somebody and saw them fully, that maybe the world would be a little bit of a better place. Maybe you'd be a little bit nicer to each other. And then my brain went, because I realized that I had an opportunity to help people kind of do that with respect to each other, to have people see each other and hear each other. Of course, it's all thanks to this guy, who has an incredible talent at bringing people together. And so I had lunch with him the week after, like a month after the Wisdom 2.0 that I'm sitting in the back row. And we're talking about like needing to support the people who use Facebook. And he's like, dude, there's these people that you have to meet. Including, and I want to take a little diversion here, Leah Pearlman. If you've ever seen her Dharma comics, they're just absolutely wonderful. And at that time, trying to figure out, like as a manager and people do at Facebook, what are things that I need to be learning to be really good at the work that I do? And so Leah comes up, and I'm thinking about being a manager. And Leah says, somebody showed me an org chart where instead of it being top-down, a hierarchy, it was a tree. And then the job of the top person is actually the bottom person, and their job is to like hold up the entire tree. And as you go up the tree, your job is to make sure to be supporting the other limbs of that. And I just so love that. And I took that as a lesson, for which I'm very grateful for, that I apply in the work that I do. I never say I manage people, even though that's kind of what I do. I always try to be very disciplined to say the people that I support. So anyhow, back to Soren, and he tells me there's these people that you have to meet. And it's Emiliana Salmon Thomas and Jim Doty. Jim Doty runs a wonderful place in Stanford called CCARE that studies compassion in a very scientific way. And so they come over to Facebook, and we have lunch, and I'm talking about this problem between people. And in this conversation with Emiliana and Jim, it comes up that there are things that help us relate to each other, that helps us navigate the things that we have in life, that helps us identify with each other, that trigger the compassionate response in our brain. And that is the recognition of emotion in each other. Like when I'm talking to somebody and I say something that is hurtful, even though I don't intend it to be like that, I can see them wince a little bit, I can see their head go down. And with that, like I know that I had something said and I can stop and I can change what I'm doing. And in this day and age, we're faced with communicating with each other with these wonderful devices that are good at keeping us close to the people that are far away from us, but they also don't have like our facial expression, our body language. In many cases, they don't have our voice. All of these tools that we have to relate to each other. And so there was a scientific study that said, if you picked up that somebody was sad or upset, the compassionate part of your brain triggers, and then you will be more willing to help them. And I'm like, that's really big. So I went back, and we offered people a message that had a little bit of emotion, so they could ask your friend if they could take the photo down. And suddenly we went from like 20% of people sending a message to like 40% of people sending a message. Like, double, that's huge, right, for the people that we support. So Stanford, who then hosted this wonderful day where this guy spoke. His name is Dacher Keltner. By the way, if you're curious about these names, look me up on Facebook. I post them all up in advance and links to their work because these are really just wonderful people. And Dacher spoke about the science of emotion and all of the different ways that we have to communicate emotion to each other, the science of politeness, the importance of polite language. And we went and we applied that to what we were doing at Facebook, and we built these things we call the emotion flows, where when you tell us about a photo and we ask you, are you in the photo? We ask you, how does it make you feel? And that's like really crazy for a huge website to be asking about how it is that you feel. But we found that 78% of people would tell us, it's embarrassing to me, it's a bad photo of me, it makes me sad. And then we took that and we crafted a message with everything the science of politeness has to teach us. Something that says, hey Dacher, there's something about this photo that's really embarrassing to me, would you please take it down? Now this goes against a lot of things that you learn when you do computers, like the language is very like sentences and very descriptive, and then we give people a default. But the moment we did that, we went from these 20% of people willing to send a message to each other to 60% of people sending a message to each other. Right? This is just this explosion of communication. And the goal of the message is not for the photo to come down. The goal of the message is to communicate to your friend, hey, this was embarrassing to me. And in many cases, the photo does come down. In other cases, the response is like, no, like, I think you look amazing in the message, or I think I look amazing in that photo. And that communication is all goodness, right? Because the person can have their voice heard, the person becomes more aware, their friend becomes more aware of the impact of the things that they're posting online. And if you think about it, that's something that takes care of the fabric of people. It helps nurture and cultivate connections, even at times of stress and difficulty. One of those examples of times of stress and difficulty is bullying, and we've heard a lot about that. And so through Dacher, we're trying to figure out who are the best people we could ever talk to about this. And that's how I met Mark Brackett and Robin Stern. They work at Yale, there's a Center for Emotional Intelligence, and what they're doing there is they're going into schools and teaching kids social emotional learning skills, like identify your emotion, bring your best self forward, and they have these wonderful programs that also not only work with the children, but recognize that it's the whole school that matters. Everybody with a face, so the principal, the staff at the school, everybody needs to be exhibiting this kind of level of emotional awareness to really set an example and create an environment where a kid can be in touch with their emotions and navigate the right way. And so we asked Mark, so we had this with bullying, what do we do? And at the time, there were a lot of people saying, what you need to deal with bullying is a big button that says report. And so we asked the teenagers, what do you need? And they told us, we don't like the report button because we're worried that if we click on it, we're going to get our friends in trouble. What we need is to be able to say that something's a problem, and what we need is tools to help us navigate the situation when we're comfortable doing so. And when we're not, and this is what the science says about Mark, the most important thing for somebody who's a target of bullying is to get them in touch with somebody who can support them through the situation, somebody who they trust. And so we went and we built that into the product, and the moment we went from the word report to the sentence, this post is a problem, we tripled the number of people, of teenagers that went into the tools that we provided. Right? And so this is amazing, and it's a community of people. Then, and I was so lucky to be able to be with him and Dacker on stage last year, I got to meet Thupten Jinpa, who's the principal interpreter for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And we had a short conversation about these things. And we began talking about kind of the importance of like intention and of community. From him, I learned that, you know, when you live in certain kinds of communities, if something bad happens, you're going to see the person that next day and the following day for the next 30 years. And if that's how you had to, everybody in your life was like that, then what is the kind of respect with which you would engage with each other? How would you communicate to them? How would you treat them if you knew you had to see them tomorrow? And I'm like, oh my God, what does this mean for the community of people that we're supporting? And also began talking about the concept of intention. Now, if we go back to this sort of like 60% of people that send the messages, we asked the people who uploaded the photo, like how they felt about the person who sent them the request. Remember, this is somebody who just shared with all of their friends a picture, and one of their friends said, you know, this was hurtful to me, this made me sad, this embarrassed me. And we asked them, so how do you feel about the person who made the request? And the sentiment that came back was 60% positive and 25% neutral. And so like 85 to 90% of your friends, they want to know that they've done something to aggravate you. And whereas only 20% of us would be willing to tell them in the first place. Right? Think about what that means with in terms of how we relate to each other. So we're looking at how we relate to each other, and then we met even more wonderful people. Emma Sepala, who is at Seacare, and she's doing work with veterans, and she's doing work where she's bringing mindfulness to veterans and yoga exercises with really wonderful results. And then Dave Disteno and Carlo Valdesolo, who are studying the science of like what helps us identify with each other. Turns out if you sit next to somebody and you listen to the same song and you tap at the same time on the table, you're more likely to want to help them if something happened afterwards. So there's all of these things about that we have to learn from science and from wisdom about how we relate to each other. And as we put these things together, then there are the people that are called to the work. And you know, I'm so grateful of this wonderful team of people that I get to work with at Facebook and the extended family that's supporting us, the community of people that has helped us build these flows that help people connect with each other and communicate with each other. I asked this morning the person who helps us with all of our data, how many people have used the tools that we have provided to communicate with each other, using emotion, using what we have to learn from wisdom, using what we have to learn from science, to help kind of navigate what's a difficult circumstance in life. And this is the first time I'm saying this number, but I got the number and I was deeply humbled by it. It's been 65 million people to date. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be at Facebook and to be able to do these things, and for this journey that began sitting in the back row of this room. And so what I wanted to share with you today was first gratitude to all of the teachers and all of the people who have supported us and given us knowledge and wisdom in this journey. And we're just getting started, and there's so much work still to do. But the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to share, one, what is kind of what I think of the biggest thing that underlines a lot of the work. And I wanted to share with everybody a few questions that I invite you to hold throughout this weekend. So this is probably the biggest thing that I've kind of come across in this journey, which is people need to be seen, met, and heard. And I found this to apply in so many ways. In the products that I build, there are the reasons that we think people have or that are important for us, like the rules that we're here to uphold. And then it turns out that in India, it's really important for somebody to tell us that somebody's made fun of a religious figure or somebody's made fun of the cricket team. It's very important for them. It's very dear to them. We have to go to them. We have to hear them. We have to meet them where they are. It's so important in work with the people that I support when there's something going on to be able to go to them and understand what is it that they're thinking, what is it that they need, and what is it that they need to do that. And as a father, whenever like my kids are speaking up, my daughter or my son, to be able to put my attention fully to them and hear them, and you can see how people feel when you do that actively. And so this is something that I try to carry throughout in my life. Now to the questions. What does what you experienced this weekend mean to your life's work? And I don't mean your job. I mean as a parent, as a teacher, wherever you happen to work, in your art. If you're an artist, I think all of us are artists. But of the things you will see, of the people that you will meet, of the experiences that you will have, what does that mean for your life's work? Next question. What do wisdom and science have to teach us about how we relate to each other? Right? There's a lot of things that they teach us about ourselves, but then when we look around the room at the people that we sit next to, when we look at a school or a community that you're responsible for supporting or that you're a part of, what is it that wisdom and science have to teach us that we could apply in that context? Who can be a partner for your work? And this is so important. You never do anything alone. Like, when I've gotten the question for the work that I do at Facebook, it's like, when did you come up with this? And when did you come up? I didn't come up with it. I helped put it all together. The people that you saw today, those are the people that have come this. And I've gotten such extraordinary support from my loved ones, from the people that work, from my manager, all these people around us. But if you're going to set up to do something really big in your life, who are the friends that you can be sharing it with? Who are the partners that can help you figure something out? Who are the people that you're doing it with? Who are the people that you're doing it for? Okay? Let's hold this question. And then the last question that I have for you today is, what do they need? And by they, I don't mean just your partner, but I mean the people in your life. Because I thought I knew, and every step I've gone along the way, I've built things believing that I know what the people that I'm here to support, that the people that I'm working with need. And I found that holding this question, and most importantly, asking them, is the most important thing. There's something that I do as a manager where I go like, okay, what does Alice need? And then somebody responds to me and says, well, I think Alice. And I'm like, that's what you think Alice needs. Have you asked Alice? And they're like, no. Can you please go ask Alice? Yes. And so look at the people in your life, the people that you work with, the people that support you at work, the people in your friends, your family, your kids, and all of that, and just hold that question. And if you don't know, and if you think you know, even if you think you know, just totally ask them. And they'll tell you what it is that you need to hear every time. Okay? So that's what I had to share with you today. I wanted to offer these questions up for everybody that's gonna be here this weekend. I'm very excited to be a part of this, and I'm very grateful for everybody who's here. If you see me in the hallway and you have any problems with Facebook, please don't hesitate to grab me and ask me about it. That's what I'm here to do, right? To support the people who use Facebook. And just a lot of gratitude for you for being here today, and to Soren, and to all of the people in my life that have helped me be here today. And so, thank you.